Hey friends, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey Hearties, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host Nicole, joined today by my good friend Theresa once again as co-host for When Calls the Heart Season 11. And today we will be, of course, reviewing episode 1 of season 11, When Stars Align. It was written by Lindsay Sturman and directed by Neil Fernley. Elizabeth turns over a new leaf. Nathan returns home from an investigation, while Bill questions its outcome. Rosemary chases a scoop. Lucas makes a surprise announcement. Welcome back as co-host to the podcast, Theresa.
Thanks for having me again. Yes. Like I said to you beforehand, I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, I'm very excited to review season 11 with you.
It's going to be great.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a great season.
Yes.
Very excited.
So before we get into a deep dive of this episode, do you want to share your hot takes?
Sure. So I thought the episode was great. It was a little more action-packed for a premiere episode. I mean, somebody got shot. There was a cardiac event.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally lots of things were happening. So it was a little bit different in that it was a little bit more plot heavy. And I appreciated that because sometimes the premieres of When Calls the Heart can feel a little bit like shallow sometimes. It's just kind of like, oh, let's pick up all the loose ends and everything like that. But this one was like setting up the season, which I appreciated. And I really, really like a lot of these storylines and where they're heading.
Me too. And may I just say, I loved how they started the episode with a different angle of the log scene. I loved that.
Yes. I was like, whoa, we're actually doing this. And I also need to mention, this is the first premiere that we've started like right where we left off since season 2.
Yeah.
Or three. Season 2 going into 3. With Jack chopping the wood after seeing Charles proposing to Elizabeth. That was
Charles
the last time we saw a season pick up right where the other season left off. And I do believe we haven't seen a season start with a climax like that since season 1 even. So I was here for it.
Yeah, same. And I love how, I think Sarah and Julie pointed this out in a reel, I think it was yesterday, that how it started, how it's going reel with the first log scene in season 10, in the finale, of course. And then them, riding off with Bill side by side, and then the how it's going with them riding side by side to the Valley Voice office. I thought that was a good little observation.
That was cool. Also, if you look closely, you'll see that in the last shot of season 10, Nathan and Elizabeth are behind Bill, but in the first shot of season 11, they're both in front of Bill. So they must have been racing quite literally back to town.
Riding side by side through life. Or
through town, through life. Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to the topic at hand. The big topic at hand, which is Lucas and the investigation. We get the scene at the log when Bill comes up and he tells them that Lucas was shot. But of course, before that, we see the scene of Lucas being shot twice.
Right.
And they ride off. They go to the Valley Voice where Lee and Rosemary are on the phone. Lee's on the phone with Edwin. I'm not sure who Rosemary's on the phone with. It was not stated, but they're trying to get more information.
And according to Edwin, when he talks to Elizabeth, the doctors are hopeful. He has 2 wounds, and they took the bullet out of his leg, but he unfortunately lost a lot of blood. Elizabeth wants to know if he'll pull through, but Edwin is interrupted by the surgeon. What did you think of this first scene?
I mean, very, very intense. Very, very, high intensity. I don't think we haven't seen a character get shot on When Calls the Heart in a very long time.
So.
Yeah, the last time it was either Jesse or I was gonna say Jack Wagner. No, Bill getting shot in the arm when he was dealing with counterfeiters
Oh,
back in season 2, I believe.
Yeah.
But never any kind of like situation of this, magnitude. So that was very good. I love intensity. I've said this before, but all of my favorite moments in When Calls the Heart are the more dramatic, emotional ones. So this beginning really resonated with me because it just, quite literally starting off with a bang.
Yes. Yeah.
I do have a question about Lucas getting shot twice.
Yeah.
Where was the other bullet?
Oh gosh.
Because they said they got 1 bullet, but where was the other one?
I don't know, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this when we get to it, but the scene when Elizabeth and Bill get to the hospital, Edwin is saying that they removed the other one, but he didn't say where.
Okay.
Part of me wonders if he was shot in the head too. No,
definitely.
Because the article said he
fell and hit his head.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Okay. I was going to wait until we got to this scene, but I might as well just go ahead and mention it now. I did find it interesting when Edwin was, helping him move the wheelchair, before Henry got there, he was holding his
hip. That could be it. Maybe he was shot like in the shoulder or something.
Maybe. I did find that interesting.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what it is, because I think if you look closely in the shot where he's like laying in bed with his bathrobe and the gauze on his head, I could see under his bathrobe a little bit of like bandages.
I could too, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's where. I wish they had elaborated a little bit more, but I mean, no hate to When Calls the Heart, and I love When Calls the Heart, but sometimes they have a tendency to under-explain medical emergencies. And as someone who, I'm a writer, so when I write things like that, I do extensive research, to make sure it's accurate. So sometimes it annoys me when there's like, there's under explanation. I'm like, I want to know what happened. But that's just me. That's the nerd in me. Yeah. So.
But going back to the first scene, of course, no one knows who did it. Elizabeth says she has to go to Capital City. Bill is going to go with her. Nathan is going to check with headquarters. And we'll talk about that moment between them later, because that needs discussing.
It does. Does indeed.
We'll wait for a little while to discuss that.
Right.
But not going to lie, I did get emotional with the scenes in Capital City with Lucas and Elizabeth and Bill.
Right. Yeah. It was very interesting to see Bill being the one there to comfort Elizabeth, but also, kind of just being there to help explain to her that sometimes life isn't fair. And, that's a tough thing for Elizabeth to hear, especially given what she's gone through with Jack in the past. But I felt like she handled the situation as best she could. She didn't have a panic attack. She was, pretty in control, even though it, affected her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a very emotional scene, and you can see that even though, she and Lucas have parted ways, she still cares very much about
Yes.
him. She wants him to know that she's
Yeah.
there for him.
I thought it was very significant how when she's at his bedside and it looks like she takes his hand, she says, "Please come back to us." She doesn't say to me. And then in the second scene, she says, "We can't lose him like this." Not "I can't lose him like this."
Right. And also, I've heard a few people say this, and I agree, and I don't mean this in like a,
Yeah.
a gloating kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But notice Lucas actually got shot. He's literally like, between life or death.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's very upset, but her world is not falling apart. Whereas when there was even a possibility
Of Nathan.
that Nathan could be shot in season 10 and in season 7, she just fell apart completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like full panic attack, like, completely, just tunnel vision. And it does show the difference. But at the same time, I really liked how in season 11, when she's by Lucas's bedside, she very much knows that Lucas has found his purpose, his calling, and for him to be, she knows he can do a lot of good for the world.
Yeah.
And so it's not even about, her being robbed of Lucas or anything like that. It's more about the world being robbed of what he could do for the world with his skill and,
She says, "We can't lose him like this, not when he has so much ahead of him, so much to give."
Exactly. Yeah.
And I just have to point this out. Shout out to Casey, because this is your observation. But when it cuts to the second scene in Capital City with Elizabeth and then Bill coming in, Elizabeth drops the handkerchief that's in her hand. And Casey pointed out that this could be symbolism for the end of Alice in Wonderland, when Alice wakes up from her nap and comes back to reality. But for When Calls the Heart, Elizabeth is waking up from her nap and coming back to reality and realizing that Mounties aren't the only ones who can be in danger. And I thought that was brilliant.
Right.
So
I completely agree. Yeah, go Casey. That's quite an observation.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking, oh, the camera work is great here.
Yeah. That didn't even cross my mind when I was watching that episode, but very well done.
Oh, yeah. Very keen observation.
Yes. Going back to Hope Valley, can we just talk about the first scene with Elizabeth and Rosemary reading the article?
Yes. That was hilarious. I mean, of course Rosemary's going to be fuming that the Benson beetle beat her out to the story.
Yes, yep. Clayton Pike was captured in a midnight raid and confessed to the shooting. He's currently being held without bail. And of course, like you just mentioned, Rosemary isn't thrilled that the Valley Voice has been scooped by the Benson Hills beetle, and Randall Rockwell, I think was his name. Also, I find it interesting, was it Randall Rockwell in season 10 working for the other paper in Benson Hills?
Yes. He's been in and out a few times with the show. Season 9 he was mentioned. Season 10 I think he actually showed up in town to get a scoop from Lucas, and then now he's still involved, which I think there's more to come with Randall Rockwell.
Yes. I love how Rosemary is like, Who would go to Randall Rockwell with a scoop? A daring midnight raid? How does he know it was daring? Was he there?
Oh my gosh.
And then Elizabeth, when she states that there is a quote from Nathan in the article, I love how Rosemary runs over and she's like, the nerve.
She's like, only I have tabs on Nathan. Only I can get exclusive access. Good old Rosemary.
And little Jack is just sitting there, just taking it all in.
Yeah. She's like, just another day with Annie Rosemary.
Yeah. I thought it was cute, though, how little Jack said something about, did Mountie Nathan catch the guy who hurt Buddy?
Yeah.
That was
super
cute.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when the kids in town call the Mountie, like, Mountie Jack, Mountie Nathan. I think that's always adorable. Yeah.
Okay. I have some thoughts on this scene and Edwin. Is it just me, or was Edwin's reaction to Lucas wanting to give an exclusive to the Valley Voice on the announcement a little odd, as well as his reaction to Lucas offering Henry a job?
I think it was definitely odd. And I think possibly what they were going for is protective, unofficial bodyguard of Lucas.
Yeah.
But my mom, after watching the episode, she's like, I don't know. This guy's acting really suspicious right now.
I've heard a couple people say maybe he's a mole.
Could be. The way he kept trying to, like, isolate Lucas from everybody, like, anytime anybody came, Edwin was like, shoo, shoo, shoo. And I know that could be because of, I'm his bodyguard, but I think it was a little bit excessive at certain points. And, giving an exclusive to the Valley Voice should be a good thing for publicity. Any campaign manager should know that. So yes, I think it was a little bit off. And I think maybe something's going on. I don't know for sure. It could just be Edwin being extra. But I think it could easily be something.
Not, because as of right now, I do kind of like Edwin. I think he's a good character.
I think he's funny. Yeah.
But I hope he's not a mole or something. Like an antagonist.
Yeah. I just can't picture him being one, unless it was like one of those, like, dastardly villains with a mustache type thing. I could see that, but yeah. Not like a serious villain, more like a comedic villain.
Yeah.
I could see that, but yeah.
Also, just briefly in that scene, I gotta mention how Lucas offered Henry the job. I thought that was thoughtful of him. And Henry brought Lucas apples, which I thought was interesting.
Definitely interesting. Yeah. I think it's very Henry to kind of like think of these little things and just kind of, we've seen him do it before with like Abigail or, Lucas before as well. I actually really like the idea of Henry becoming Lucas's team, because we know, as sketchy as it might have been, Henry does have experience in politics. Sometimes we forget. We think of him as like, oh, the businessman. He does have experience as politics. He was mayor for a while. He was the CEO of the mining company.
I mean,
he does
crooked mayor, but
very crooked mayor. But I think he's since learned from that. Since then. And because of that, I think he would be able to help Lucas out with, how to do things, maybe what mistakes not to make, what connections to make. And I think it would be a really good team up. I also think that some of Lucas and Henry's scenes back in season 6 and 7 were quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, when things started going downhill with the oil storyline, it started falling off a little bit. But before that, they worked well together,
Mhm.
and it was all about building trust. And now I think they've reached a point where they do trust each other.
Yeah.
So I could see kind of like this, maybe like wise old uncle type relationship for them.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fun dynamic for them to
Yes.
explore.
I do too. And another fun dynamic that I know all the Hearties are going to love this season is Bill and Rosemary.
Yes. The most fun dynamic. That one's
Yes.
going to be hilarious.
Yes, I loved the scene in the saloon with the two of them and Nathan. Of course, first it's just Nathan and Bill, and then Rosemary comes in and interrupts. Nathan has a gut feeling that something isn't right with the investigation. Bill feels that Montague was cleared way too quickly, but he was the only one with an obvious motive. And that motive was, of course, or is, that he hates Lucas because he canceled the water diversion. And since Lucas doesn't remember anything, the arresting officers have had to rely on the physical evidence, and that is the gun that appears months after the shooting because of a very lucky break. What do you think about all of this so far?
I think that I don't think it's as much of a mystery, because I'm pretty sure we all know who did it, but I think it's less of a mystery and more of Bill and Rosemary need to find evidence, because right now there is no evidence, or maybe there is evidence, but maybe there are some dirty cops in there that have been paid off, or Hardgraves, but there's some bad cops in there who are not doing their job and not allowing the good cops to do their job. So I think that it's less about who actually did it and more about proving who did it. Because like I said, I think all of us pretty much know who did it, which is Montague. Pretty obvious, him or one of his henchmen did it. I can't really picture anybody else doing it.
Or the governor. Maybe like the governor is the one that kind of, I guess, as they say, planned it. And he had henchmen like Montague go out and do it.
It could be. I mean, they're both like on the suspect list. I don't think it's going to be the governor, just because I know Mark Brandon is not in season 11.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it's not going to be him.
No, but Montague is.
Montague is. I personally, I would love it if it was actually somebody else and this is just a red herring.
Yeah.
Because I like a good mystery. I like trying to figure it out. It's not as interesting if you already know who it is, but I still think the journey could be good if it is Montague, because finding the evidence is not going to be easy. So I think that could be fun.
Yeah. And another big reason why I think it's Montague is because after Lucas gave his speech in season 10 and he stormed out, Montague, that is, he says, "You have no idea who you've crossed."
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's entirely possible. Definitely. I mean, at this point, he's the only suspect for the most part. So I can't. It would be more unlikely if it wasn't him than it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second he said that, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just had a feeling that he was going to do something to Lucas to injure him. Yeah. I didn't know what.
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, uh-oh.
Something's going to happen to Lucas.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a nice setup from season 10. Yeah. I'm glad they carried it over into season 11, because I think it's an interesting thing for sure.
Yes. And then Rosemary comes in and she's like, "Hero Nathan Grant tells all." Or
Mm-hmm.
Mountie Nathan tells all, and then Bill's like, how about Mountie Grant says nothing to the press?
I chuckled when he said that.
Oh my gosh. And then he
That was
walks
pretty
out.
funny.
Yeah. And Rosemary's still trying to get the scoop. And was it you that posted an edit earlier today of that scene when he said, Rosemary, I don't know anything?
It was not me actually, but
Maybe it was
I
somebody
know the
else.
one you're talking about. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. That was funny.
Yeah.
Nathan's like, let me spell it out. I don't know
No, really.
anything.
And I love how Rosemary just kind of like throws the pen down on the table, like,
She's just like, you're impossible.
oh my gosh. And it continues with Bill's talk in his office with Rosemary. That was funny.
That was funny. I mean, poor Bill, this is the second time that he's been about to bite into a sandwich and someone comes in and then he has to take it to go. Maybe don't eat your lunch in your office, Bill, because this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I love how he walks out and Rosemary's just like, Bill, this is your office.
Bill's like, well, I'd rather be somewhere else right now.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh.
The next scene with Lucas is Lee and Rosemary's phone conversation with him about his live radio broadcast. I thought this was a good scene.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on the scene?
I thought it was interesting. I liked the, conversation they had, and I thought it was thoughtful how Lee sold his timberland to Lucas for the grand vision that he has.
Yeah, I liked that they were both like on the phone with him.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So there was a little moment in there where Rosemary asked if he remembered anything. And Lucas had this little look on his face, almost like he did remember something, but he didn't want to share it, or he didn't want to talk about what happened that night. And I've heard a lot of people pointing it out, and I
think I know where you're
caught
going.
it. Yeah, so I have a little theory about that. I think the last person that Lucas saw the night he was shot was Jeanette.
I've seen this, and it was talked about on the live with Sarah and Julie on Sunday night.
Yeah. Yes. I actually didn't hear them talk about it.
Yeah.
I just theorized that.
People in the comments were saying that, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sure that there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's happening there. I think
it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
because
maybe
we've heard him say that he's like protected her before. He said that to Nathan in season 6 when he thought Amos Dixon was going after her. He's like, oh, I've protected her before. Yeah. I think this might be him protecting her again, because I think the person he saw when he said, what are you doing here, was Jeanette. I don't think it was actually Montague or anyone who actually shot him. I think it was Jeanette. So yeah, I think he's trying to protect her.
It's possible, yeah, because if it comes out that she was there, she could be a suspect, even if she didn't do it, of course.
Right, exactly.
Which I don't think she did it, but it would be surprising if she did it.
Yeah, I highly doubt that, because I think based off of what we know, I know that the investigation carries on a lot longer than I think she'll be in town. Yeah. So I definitely don't think she's the one.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense.
Have done it. Yeah. She's gonna stir the pot for sure, but I don't think
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. She's gonna do that, but definitely not guilty of shooting.
Yeah.
Lucas.
Okay, we got to talk about this scene. We already mentioned him a little bit a couple minutes ago, but Nathan and Bill's talk outside the Mountie office when they are discussing the case, of course, and how the higher ups are so sure that Pike is their man. Nathan believes there's a few loose ends. There's no real motive that makes sense for Pike. Bill shares that Madeline came to see him or warn him about Montague the day Lucas won, and that he would never accept defeat and would stop at nothing until he got what he wanted. Sounds like a pretty good motive to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Nathan made a request, but of course, who shoots it down? Hargraves.
Good old Hargraves, back at it again. At this point, I almost feel like Nathan could legitimately file for superior bullying at this point, because Hargraves has time and again gone out of his way to make Nathan's life miserable.
Yeah.
And he's a superior officer. That's really sketchy. Yeah. So I think at this point, Nathan could legitimately have a complaint. But at the same time, I can understand why Nathan can't do anything about it, because I think what people might misunderstand is this isn't about Nathan being afraid of losing his job. This is about last time Nathan disobeyed orders, somebody died in his place because he was punished for that. This is much less about it's much less about Nathan being afraid of losing his job, and much more of last time he went ahead and did something on his own and made a decision on his own. He got punished and somebody died. So not that that was his fault, but
Okay. Just getting off track here for a second, because I've seen a couple comments from people with this theory, but going to Fort Clay, I've seen a few people say, what if Jack's death was Hargrave's fault? Like, what if Jack, called Hargraves out on, maybe the weather conditions not being good, and, that being the cause for a potential landslide. But Hargraves just didn't listen, and he made Jack and the trainees go out anyway.
That is very, very possible, especially since Hargraves is like, this is not normal for what he's doing to Nathan. It's like he is constantly like, think of it, he showed up in town to unearth a case that had been closed.
Yeah.
And tried to get Nathan convicted for it and basically kicked out of the force. But the reason why he didn't go through with it is because, do you really want to look like the bad guy and literally have like an orphan kid go fatherless just because not fatherless, but have their dad just basically discharged because of a petty investigation? And plus you have all the superiors there, they all know it's all
Superintendent Collins, who we know and love.
Exactly. Yes. And then follow that up with we have Hargraves telling Nathan that he has to take May to Chicago rather than finding out all the evidence. He's just looking at what it is and having May get sent to jail without any real evidence. Maybe that points even more to Hargraves being corrupted. And then on a smaller note, we have Hargraves sending Nathan a bad, like an untrained Mountie dog, or just an untrained dog in general, because he can't even walk on a leash properly. But and then now this. So at this point, it's all adding up, and it's not going away. It's not like, after the second inquiry, Hargraves actually converted. No, that is not what happened at all. In fact, he's just as bad now as he was back then.
Yeah. I mean, going to Fort Clay For all those people out there that are saying it was Nathan's fault, it was not Nathan's fault. Jack died.
I mean, even if, regardless of Hardgrave's involvement, it's not, because
you can't stop
it's
a
so
landslide.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like, the only correlation and point of guilt that Nathan feels, I think, is just that, oh, I should have been the one who died at that day because it was my mission, rather than I did something wrong and he died. Like, no, he didn't cause Jack's death. In fact, he would have been the one who died if, he had followed orders. But a lot of people are just like, Nathan basically killed Jack. I'm like, no, of course not.
Only God could have stopped that landslide.
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a like petty argument when people make it. I don't even engage anymore. I'm just like, it's so ridiculous. That would literally be like blaming Lucas for Nathan getting hit by a car because he was running a sting on Wyman Walden. That would be like me saying, oh, it was Lucas's fault that Nathan got hit by a car, because if Lucas hadn't been running a sting, the guy wouldn't have been in town, and I could go down that rabbit hole, but it wouldn't make it true. It's so dumb.
It really is. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
I don't even engage. But just one more comment about Fort Clay before we move on. I don't know if it's going to be in season 11, but we know that Fort Clay is probably going to come back up, because I think both Kevin and Lindsay mentioned it when they talked to Sarah and Julie.
Mm-hmm.
It might be in season 12 if there is one, which I'm pretty sure that there will be, or it could be this season. But I think it's going to come back up, and I'm really starting to think, like, I'm almost 99.9% sure now that the real story of Fort Clay is going to be that it was Hardgrave's fault because of what I just said.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, I also think that it's possible that Nathan does not know that. I think it's possible that he was made the scapegoat to cover that up. But that it's going to come out and not only be validating for Elizabeth, finding out that, it's going to give her closure on that and possibly stir up some old feelings of grief. But also, I think it's going to be validating for Nathan, because if that is the case, which, given Hardgrave's pattern of behavior, it is very possible, it's going to be very validating for him as well. Because... just based off of everything Hardgraves has done since we met him, he
nothing but trouble.
He's trouble. He's clearly corrupt, because he's been more than once ready to send innocent people to jail or discharging them from the force, or just all kinds of things. Even now, he's ready to send an innocent guy to jail. It screams corruption. Yes. It's giving villain.
Yeah. I don't think what we got in season 8 with Fort Clay is the real story. That is.
I think it's part of it, but I don't think it's the full story.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry. We went off a real rabbit hole there.
We went down the rabbit hole.
Anytime Hardgraves gets mentioned, this is what happens. We all just go down that rabbit hole of Fort Clay again. Hoping someday it'll actually get some resolution. So.
I think it will, whether it's this season
I think it will.
Season 12.
Yeah, I definitely get the sense it's going to be in season 12, but you never know. You never know. Yeah. I mean, Hardgraves was mentioned. It could happen this season. So
yeah. But moving on to Lucas's live radio broadcast. He is proposing a territorial fund to build popular tourist attractions across the region, or their region, the first of which will be in Hope Valley, courtesy of land provided by Lee. They'll begin accepting bids in the coming weeks for the construction of a world-class hotel and resort, a partnership between government and private enterprise in which they will provide land to the right developer in exchange for a share in the profits that will go directly into public coffers for the benefit of all. I thought he did a great job with his speech and broadcast.
Yeah, I thought he did too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, the idea of a resort isn't my favorite.
No.
I'm kind of like, I'm not saying Lucas has a bad idea. I'm just saying for Hope Valley, I'm a little bit on that because resort and tourism often equates to things being very artificial.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm a little bit afraid of. Also, I was hoping it would be something a little bit more meaningful rather than just like, oh, vacation spot. It'd be like something like a hospital or
they need
something
a
like
hospital.
that. Yeah, they do. I mean, the show can't build a hospital. That's just not.
No.
That can't happen. But, I wasn't wowed by the resort, but you never know. I could be very wrong about that.
And I mean, not necessarily completely, but when, stuff like that is built, like a resort or a world-class hotel, it kind of tones down like the small town charm, if that makes sense.
Especially the frontier aspect.
Yeah.
The frontier aspect, definitely. Yeah. I think, something like a world-class hotel is something you'd see in Hamilton, which, I guess I was, with Lucas's storyline, I was expecting more of like, some big political things like maybe he's dealing with prohibition, maybe he's, having to, even make some, changes and, treaties with the Native Americans and the Native Canadians and, something like that.
Yeah.
When I heard it was like a resort, I was kind of like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not wowed by it, but hopefully it's more meaningful than I think it is. Because right now I'm a little bit not on board with it. I'm a little bit kind of like,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, big cities like Hamilton moving into another big city and other storylines in this episode. Fiona is in Nashville.
No!
Indefinitely.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is that it makes total sense for her to be
working with the suffragettes.
Working with the suffragettes, fighting for women's rights. That's just who she is. And I think after her experience in the oil industry of, not being respected a lot of the time, having to stand her ground and never really being able to like succeed in a way, I think that it makes sense for her for this to be her next step, wanting to fight for other women who possibly were in her position, who were either not taken seriously or objectified or, just replaceable, like with her experience with Mr. Nichols. I think it makes sense for her to join the suffragettes. Of course, though, it's really sad because Fiona was one of my favorite female characters.
Same.
And it's a shame to see her go. So, but of course, we're super proud of Kayla Wallace, who got an amazing role in the show Wingman, I believe it's called. And that is a
Taylor Sheridan.
It's a spinoff of the very, very popular show Yellowstone, which that is a huge deal. So all the congratulations to Kayla. That's amazing. She should be very proud, but we are going to miss her in Hope Valley.
Hopefully she'll be able to return because indefinitely does make it possible for her.
It's not like, oh, I'm never coming back. It's just you don't know.
I loved Joseph and Minnie's brief little talk at the cafe after Minnie had talked to Faith about Fiona. And Joseph right away can tell that something is going on. And I loved that. That was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was sweet.
Yeah. Minnie says, I didn't know what to say to make her feel better. I felt like I let her down somehow. And Joseph says, sometimes it's all right just to be with someone in tough times. Your presence is enough when the words are hard to find.
Mm-hmm. And he's right. Sometimes people just want someone to listen to them. I really appreciated Minnie in this scene because so many times we've seen Minnie just kind of, being the pastor's wife or, just kind of going through the motions or giving people advice. But this was nice because you can see Minnie is forming stronger friendships with the women of Hope Valley. And she's it's not always just like, oh, I'm going to give some sage advice. It's like sometimes she doesn't know what to say. And sometimes she can sense that something's not right, but she doesn't know on the spot what to say. And I appreciated seeing that more human side of Minnie.
Me too.
I think. Yeah.
I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it's worth mentioning. I love the Canfields, and I'm so glad they joined the show.
Yes, me too. And I'm sure they have, I actually know that they have really good storylines coming up, so I'm excited for that.
Yes. They were a highlight in season 8 for me.
They were fun.
Like, I'm sure many other Hearties feel the same way. Moving into Faith at the infirmary, she meets with a patient from, I think, Molly, said Jameson, Dora Watson, and her granddaughter Lily. And Lily is adorable.
She is so cute.
Yes.
We, if a lot of people might recognize her, she was also in Checking It Twice. Yeah, she was the little girl with the teddy bear at the tea party. Yeah.
Yes. Dora claims it's just a cold. It's never just a cold on this show.
No, never. Yeah. One thing I will say, though, kind of harping back to the unexplained medical conditions, I'm curious, what did she have? Was it pneumonia? Was it
I don't know.
Congestive heart failure? Like, what was happening? Because I want to know how we went from a cough to, as we're about to talk about,
collapsed.
Yeah, cardiac event or whatever. I want to know what kind of what that was. Yeah, I might have to do more research on it, but I would have liked a little bit more explanation.
Yeah, me too. Just moving into Minnie's talk with Faith at the cafe. This was one of my favorite scenes in the episode when they're talking about Fiona and her being in Nashville, and Faith feels lonely because, everyone, all of her friends are, moving on with their lives and finding love and etc., etc. And Minnie says, you may feel lonely, but you're not alone.
I have to say, this was definitely my favorite scene of the episode. And I think the reason for that is what Faith was saying and what she was going through is something that's very relatable in my own life because, I've been graduated from college for a little while. And when you graduate, you watch all your friends kind of go off and do their thing. And some people get married, some people have kids, some people start new incredible jobs and go traveling. And if you're just kind of working your 9 to 5, it can sometimes feel like you're left behind while everyone else is, doing the amazing things with their life. And, I think in our day and age, especially with the younger generation, loneliness is a very relevant topic. And I was very moved by that scene because it really addressed that in a very honest way, in a
Yeah.
very real way. And even my sister, after watching the episode with me, she's like, yeah, that scene just, it hit me so hard because it was so relatable.
Yeah.
I want to hear
was
your
really-
thoughts on it, because
Yeah. I mean, for me, I wouldn't necessarily say that I feel lonely, but I do relate to the side of it where, you know, all of my friends are getting engaged, getting married, starting families, and I'm over here still living the single life.
Yes, yes. That is valid, yes.
But I don't necessarily feel lonely. I mean, I have great family. I have great friends, like you, of course.
Yes, yes, of course, yes.
All my McGarry's friends, all my festival friends.
Yes.
The list goes on. All my mission trip friends. But I'll leave it at that. So,
but I was surprised by how relevant and real of a topic it was. And I think I got a lot of comments after the episode, and that a lot of people were affected by that scene, but also just the whole storyline that was unfolding. So I'd say that scene, highlight of the episode for me.
One of the best. But anyway, going back to Dora and, you know, her health. Faith is in town, and Ned comes running out of the mercantile because Dora has collapsed, and unfortunately, and, you know, he tells Faith that they need her and she has some kind of heart problem, but we don't know what.
Yeah. That was a very it was a very tough scene. Those kind of scenes always stress me out.
I'm not gonna lie,
in literally any show, not just When Calls the Heart, any show, those kind of scenes stress me out. So I was stressed.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, when that scene came up, I was like, okay, they're going there. Like, what? She collapsed?
I thought she was gonna die.
I did too.
And I was like, are we gearing up for our second on-screen death, you know, on When Calls the Heart? Like, is this happening? And then it didn't happen, so I was like, okay, that's good. But I was gearing up. I was like, oh no.
I don't think we'd seen, like, if they had gone that route, I think that would have been the first time since season 3 when Harper's dad died.
Yes.
I think, if I remember correctly.
No one has died on screen since then. Yeah.
That was a tough scene.
Oh man. Yeah, that was tough, especially since if you catch it in the episode before, if you listen closely, you can see there's a scene right at the end of the episode before where the guys are in the mine, and you can hear Harper's dad, who's the guy who died. You can hear him say clearly, I only have 3 more days on the job. And that makes it even worse. He literally had 3 days to go when he got buried alive. Yep.
Oh wow.
It's rough. Yeah. When I rewatched it and saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, they did not.
And you know, that just reminded me, it's interesting because we're getting off topic here for a second. We're going down another rabbit hole. But it's interesting because before Jack went off to Fort Clay, and that scene when he tells Elizabeth that he has to go to Fort Clay, and she was like, I thought we were done with that. And he was like, we almost are, I promise.
Just one more. It's like, oh no.
Just Jack, a couple more months. No!
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know. It's, yeah. Yeah. Did you know during that scene that something was going to happen?
I didn't know what, but I've told you this before. I could sense even from the Christmas movie, there was one particular scene, I think it was the one when
Mm.
they were at home. It was after dinner,
Right.
and she was asking him
Mhm.
about the Northern Territories, and that Mountie
Yep.
music came up, and I was just like, I just got this feeling in my stomach,
Mhm. Yeah.
like something's gonna happen in season 5. I don't know what.
I'm not gonna lie, after I rewatched season 4 and 5, they it was very subtle, but they were dropping hints. They were dropping hints. And like you said, in that
I
Christmas
think you
movie,
know which scene I'm talking about.
I know exactly what scene you're talking about because I
You have,
posted it
yeah,
a couple years ago.
you have to really pay attention and listen to the background
Mhm.
music.
Yep. Yeah, that was tough.
If I remember correctly, after the season 5 Christmas movie aired, it was probably on the official Heartie's Facebook group in a comment, talking about the Christmas movie. That scene, someone mentioned the song or brought up the song, and
Mhm.
I think someone said it was the same music they played at Doug's funeral.
Oh no.
I'd have to go back and
Oh
watch,
no.
or a memorial.
Well, yeah. I don't know what to say to that, but that's rough. Oh my gosh.
I'd have to go back and watch because I don't know for
Yeah.
sure. I'd have to watch both scenes back to back to.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I believe you because there are times when you hear music and you're like, "Oh, yeah." Um, especially the Mountie horn.
Mhm.
That's a pretty obvious one.
I think it was the Mountie horn. Someone brought up the Mountie
Yeah.
horn thing.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Um,
something's coming,
yeah.
and I'm not
I'm
thinking I'm
trying
gonna
to think
like it.
what's the most obvious scene where you know it's coming?
Um,
Um, sorry, we're way off topic at this point. But I do want to answer this question before
yeah.
we move on. um,
I'm
oh
trying to
man,
remember.
what is it? I feel like I feel like it's definitely somewhere in season 5. There's even one in season 3 that feels very like, oh boy. Like season 3 after Jack had pneumonia, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's the beginning of season 4. Jack had pneumonia. They're both in the boat and they're talking about it. And he's like, "You're never going to lose me, Elizabeth." And she says, "You say that now." And you're like,
That's
"Girl,
okay.
are you?"
That's when I first started getting a hint of something's gonna.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no, I when I
That
watched
was
that scene in hindsight, I'm like, "Oh boy."
that was my first subtle, very subtle hint.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, when you watch that back now, you're kind of like I'm almost like maybe Elizabeth knew deep down that someday it was going to happen, and that's why she was always afraid that it was going to happen, because I think she knew deep down that someday it was going to happen. Whereas I don't get that sense with her and Nathan.
Mm-mm.
With her and Nathan,
No,
it's more of like, I just don't want it to happen again.
no,
Not that,
yeah.
oh, I know deep down in the depths of my soul that it will happen.
But anyway, we've gone down
Yeah,
another
sorry,
rabbit hole.
we are way off at this point.
Sorry about that, Hearties.
Yeah.
But this is the first episode.
When it comes to talking about all the stuff leading up to Jack's death, we can't help ourselves. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah. As a Heartie who started watching the show very late into the game, I'm always fascinated hearing what it was like watching that live. But anyway, we're watching live now with season 11.
Yes.
So let's get back to that.
Yes, let's get back to season 11. It's only the first episode, so we apologize for getting a little off track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
What are your thoughts on what is going to happen to Dora? I'm pretty sure I know your answer to this.
I mean,
I think it's the same as me.
Yeah, what I will say is there are two things I think that could potentially happen. The first being that Dora dies in the hospital. We don't actually see it happen. We just hear about it. And then Faith would have to break the news to Lily and eventually help her to overcome that. Or option 2, I would almost think this would be more realistic for When Calls the Heart, is I feel like it's possible that Dora survives, but when the time comes to, give Lily back to Dora, Faith is going to be so attached at that point that it's going to be very hard for her. And Dora might come to the realization that maybe she's too old to be taking care of a little girl.
I can see that.
And, kind of give charge over her to Faith.
Yeah. I could see that too.
I could see either of those two scenarios playing out.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I would prefer, and I don't mean this in a morbid way, I would prefer for Faith to become the sole, guardian for Lily.
Yeah.
In other words, I think it would make more sense for the story if Dora did die. Don't mean that in a mean way.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? I want to hear your thoughts.
I'm like 99.9% sure she's going to die.
Yeah.
Dora is going to die. That is. Yeah.
I think so too.
Because
back then it's not like it is now, where you can get a really good surgery and have like a full recovery. This is like 1920s. Like the medical field is still pretty, still pretty very early and not advanced.
Yeah.
Primitive is the word I'm looking for. Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
It has been done before. I think I said this in our live on, what was it? Friday? Is that when we did our live?
I think so. Yes.
About Little House on the Prairie. And even though I've never watched the show, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. I know it's been done on there too. So.
Dr. Quinn, it was done in even more of an obvious way, because in the very first episode, Dr. Quinn befriends a woman, and the woman, during the episode, spoiler alert, she gets bit by a rattlesnake and dies, leaving 3 children that she leaves to the charge of Dr. Quinn. And Dr. Quinn is a young single woman at this point. So not only is she going to have to prove that a woman can be a doctor in a frontier town, but also she's raising these children on her own as a single parent, which is exactly what Faith is doing right now. So When Calls the Heart has copied many things from Dr. Quinn.
So in Little House.
So I'm not mad about it. I'm actually quite happy about it, because I love Dr. Quinn. So.
And I mean, Michael Landon Jr. is the co-creator of When Calls the Heart, and his dad was Charles Ingalls on Little House. So
I have to say, I think this storyline for Faith is the best thing that has ever happened to her character. I think it's fantastic. I think we've seen her do the career thing. We've seen her with a lot of failed romances. But this is something different for her. Like, motherhood is something different, and I don't think it's anything she would have pictured for herself. But this, I think, is going to open and unlock a piece of her that she's never experienced before. Because, we have other single parents on the show. We have Elizabeth having little Jack opened up her heart in a different way. We have Nathan and Allie, him taking in and adopting a girl when she's only 4, and that changing his whole life. And now we have Faith, and this trope of adopting a child and it kind of becoming, we all love it. We all love this trope. So I think it's perfect for Faith. I think it's a great path for her.
Yeah. Another one of the best scenes in the episode was Faith and Lily when she told the bedtime story.
That was so cute. Yeah.
Yes.
And I loved how Faith was like honest with her.
Yeah. Me
Like
too.
she's like, "Oh, is my grandma gonna
Yeah.
be okay?" And Faith is like, "I don't know." And I appreciated that. She didn't try to
Yeah.
sugarcoat it. She
Yeah.
just told her the truth, and Lily is
Yes.
just so cute. So I
Yes,
think
adorable.
I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be really,
Yes.
really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And moving on to other people that are cute, or a cute couple, Mike and May.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
How about we just talk about their 2 scenes in the episode, apart from, the scenes that May had with Faith at the cafe.
Right.
We get May at the salon doing facials, and Mike brings her lunch. That was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And I love May's reaction to being so busy with Fiona being in Nashville. She's like, I can't keep this up.
Poor May. I mean, I don't even know why they bother keeping the salon open at this point. I guess for her mud mask or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel for her. And, we know Mike is busy with the saloon. So it's not like he's got time to do that either. So I think seeing May kind of stressed out and a little bit frazzled is different for her. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But it's so sweet. Mike is just like, he brings her lunch. He's like doing stuff for her. Yes. He's like, I'll do it.
Reaction when he's like, I don't know what to do.
To be fair, I wouldn't know what to do either. I'd just be like, okay.
Oh my goodness. And then moving into their other scene, which I thought was really cute. He gives her a new bicycle and thought she could use it to get mud for the hot springs. And then Bill walks by and says, well, look at you two, like an old married couple. And we talked about this on the live. I know we have differing opinions, and that's okay.
Yeah. It's all good. I just think, I know it's a little bit on the nose, but I do think it points to Mike and May getting married, especially since we saw Faith and Minnie in bridesmaids dresses, and we know that Minnie and Faith are growing closer this season.
I do think that's interesting.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out where Minnie would fit into that, and now after watching this episode, it makes a little more sense. But I'm not saying that's set in stone.
No.
I'm just saying I'm getting the sense it is going to be Mike and May. Personally, of course, I would want Nathan and Elizabeth to get married. Of course, I would want that. And in fact, I would probably prefer it just because
we don't know.
We don't know Mike and May that much. Like, we love them. They're cute, but we don't really know their relationship.
We need to see more of them. And personally, I think I said this on the live, I think Bill's comment was a red herring. I mean, they could be getting married. I've made this prediction. I might have said it on the live. I can't remember for sure. It might be a long shot, but anything is possible on this show. It could be that Nathan and Elizabeth have the quick, on the fly wedding somewhere in the middle of the season, episode 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. And Mike and May could be the ones getting married in the finale. With the planned, more planned wedding.
Yeah, definitely possible.
Yeah.
Nothing is impossible, so.
No.
Yeah.
And I did find it interesting on the on location video that was released yesterday. We'll talk more about this at the end once we've reviewed episode 1, and are talking about episode 2. But the first love comment from Amanda I thought was interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah.
It made it sound a little bit more like something very, in the early stages, I guess.
Yeah.
Not something that would be moving towards marriage.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't really know what to make of that. I think I think that obviously if Mike and May are the ones getting married, they're going to have some serious development as a couple, because right now they're still in very early stages. And I think that they would make really cute newlyweds, but we just don't know them well enough. We don't know them well enough. I feel like I don't know May still. I feel like I love Hickam, and Hickam's great, and we all love Hickam.
Yes.
But I feel like I don't know their relationship as well as I would like to. So little more development for them before they make any big decisions like that, I think.
I love them as a couple. I do.
Yeah, they're super cute.
I just want to know more.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yes. But moving into the Coulters and that one scene that we got with all three of them.
That was
My heart is a puddle.
I did think it was pretty shocking that Goldie not only stood up for the first time, but took not one, but many steps for the first time.
It was cute.
It was cute. It was very shocking, but cute. Yeah.
Yes.
I have two nieces, and I've watched them both reach that stage, and it's not very often that it happens in one shot. So I was like, oh, she's standing up. Whoa, she's taking her first steps. I guess it's not just one. Yeah. So I thought that was funny, but it's so cute. She's so cute.
She's precious. Yeah. I wonder how many takes that took. But Lee,
that's a good question. Yeah.
talking to Goldie was precious. He's like,
oh yeah.
You, me, and our perfect little 18-karat Goldie. That's my perfect 11.
Oh, so cute.
Lee is a dad.
Like the ultimate girl dad. Like, yeah.
He is just melting my heart as a dad. Cabin Smith.
He knows what it's about. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, he's a dad himself. So.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cute.
And Rosemary says, now that the land transfer is complete, you can get back to life as usual. And Lee says, I'd love to focus on you and Goldie. Me and my two gals. And then they notice Goldie walking. And I loved their reactions. Rosemary's especially. You know, they were like, oh. And then Rosemary was like, that's walking. Lee, she's walking. She's a genius. She's a genius. Or she is a genius.
It was exactly the reaction I expected from Lee and Rosemary. So perfect.
Gavin and Pascal killed that.
Yeah.
That was perfection.
Yeah. I am wondering, regarding Lee, Rosemary, and Goldie, I am wondering how Lee is going to react to Rosemary getting so involved in a potentially dangerous investigation, especially now since they have a kid and she's a mom. You know, like, I'm sure that it's going to be a struggle for Rosemary to find that work-life balance, but also facing possible danger. So I'm curious if that's going to be a conversation that comes up later.
I kind of hope it does.
I hope it does too. Yeah. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, I think.
I want to see Lee in protective husband mode.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding? I would love that. Because we haven't really seen that before.
No, we've seen Rosemary in protective mode.
Yes. Yes. But we haven't seen that for Lee, and I would love that. So yes.
I mean, season 3 when he injured his foot and Faith did the trick with the bell.
Yep. I literally just watched that episode the other night. Yes.
And then in season, what was it? 7? When he got injured from the tree.
With the tree? Yes, that was season 7. Yeah.
That was when they were married. So.
Yes. That was intense.
Oh. Yeah.
That moment when she walks up and they realize Jesse's fine, and she's like, oh, great. Where's Lee? And everyone's just like, I was like, oh my gosh. They did not.
Yeah. But
that moment was.
Wow. Anyway.
Sorry, we're getting off topic again.
Yeah. Anyway, I love seeing Lee and Rosemary as parents, and I'm looking forward to all the storylines with the Coulters this season.
Yes, me too. It's going to be great.
Yes. Moving into the big topic of the episode next to Lucas. Nathan and Elizabeth, and of course, Allie and little Jack.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned it in the beginning of the episode. We didn't talk about it, but now is the time. Be safe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's kind of their little code. It's like their thing. You know, Jack and Elizabeth had Take a Walk with Me.
Yep.
And a
Be
few other
safe.
ones too. Be safe is Nathan and Elizabeth.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes. Be safe is not just the equivalent of Jack and Elizabeth's Take a Walk with Me. It's also the equivalent of Shane and Oliver on SSD with I Only Dance with You. It's saying I love you without saying I love you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I love how in that scene he like catches her arm and like
Yes.
he knows she's like about to leave, but he has to say it, you know?
Yes.
I
The
love
arm
that.
hold. And I didn't notice it until a couple of days ago, but she grabs his arm with both hands.
Yes. Oh, really? I didn't notice that either. Oh my gosh.
Yes. I'll have to send you the reel or post
Yeah.
that one of the McGarrys posted. I can't remember who it was, but I'm sure I could find it and send it to you.
Absolutely. I would love that.
And I might even be able to link it in the episode for any of the Hearties and McGarrys watching. But
I'm sure they would all appreciate that. Yes.
Very sweet scene.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Elizabeth's journal entry. So this was in the second opening of the episode after the opening credits. 4 months have passed since those terrible days, and there are still many unanswered questions about who shot Lucas and why. But our shock turned to relief when we learned that he would pull through. By sheer force of will, he insisted on getting to work, even if it was from his hospital bed. I'm grateful we'll always remain friends. Soon after the shooting, Nathan was assigned to a special investigative team to find the assailant. He's been gone so long we haven't been able to talk, not since that fateful day. But if Lucas's brush with death has taught me anything, it's that every moment hangs on a thread. It's up to us to find all the joy we can in this life, and from now on, that's what I intend to do. That was one of the best lines of the episode. Every moment hangs on a thread.
Absolutely. And I love how this journal entry is almost like very similar, but also very different from Elizabeth's first journal entry in season 8, where she's saying, me and Nathan haven't seen each other since the day he almost got shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel. And we all know that that was the point where she started to freak out and pull away. And now it's the opposite, where she is finally realizing that every moment hangs on a thread and she wants to move forward without fear. So it's a nice contrast, but also similarity. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, me too. Way to go, Lindsay, for writing that. Yeah. Nathan returns home. We saw the scene before the episode aired. But she sees him come into town, then gets distracted by little Jack. Nathan sees her, but they never lock eyes. And then, you know, he rides into town. Ned is like, the hero has returned. And I hated hearing Nathan say this. He's like, I'm not a hero.
He sounded so annoyed. He's like, I'm not
a hero.
Yeah. It reminds me of when Jack returned from the Northern Territories.
Yeah.
And you know, Lee said it to Jack a few times. I believe Jesse and a few other people said it to Jack, and he's like, I'm not a hero. Like, don't call me a hero or whatever. And you know, it's different scenarios, but it definitely brought me back to that. And yeah, it's definitely sad because Nathan is a hero.
Yeah.
Just like Jack was a hero.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think because of how the investigation went, Nathan doesn't feel like he is.
Yeah. And going back to Jack returning from the Northern Territories, I think even Bill said it in that scene in the Mountie office.
Yes, yes.
And Jack was like, I'm just doing my job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes. Poor
But
Jack.
then we get the sweet scene with Nathan and Allie when she runs up and hugs
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yes, that was so sweet.
Yes. And we saw that too a lot
Mm-hmm.
before the episode aired. But
Yeah. And also one thing I
yeah.
wanted to real quick point out before we move on.
Yeah.
I loved that when Nathan rode up, he saw the Hope Valley sign and he just
Yeah,
smiled.
I loved that.
He was so happy to be home. I
Yeah.
love that because, you know, a couple years ago, that was not the case. He wanted to leave Hope Valley
Yeah.
for a promotion. He even
Yes.
told Elizabeth that in season
Yeah.
8. But here we have him like seeing
Yeah.
the Hope Valley sign and actually being very happy to be
Yes.
home. So
Yes.
that was nice.
And the cinematography in that scene and really the whole episode was just
Mm-hmm.
on point.
Oh yeah. So good. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spring cleaning with Elizabeth and Rosemary and then Nathan showing up. This was another favorite scene in the episode. And I just gotta say, Rosemary's way of beating on the rug versus Elizabeth's. Rosemary was like, and Elizabeth was like,
yeah. Rosemary's like full baseball bat mode, just like, and then Elizabeth's just got like the little dainty, like
the foot pop.
Yeah.
It was the foot pop for me.
Yes. That was pretty funny. Yes. Yeah.
And of course, this is when Elizabeth says that she's feeling restless for something new that she's been considering for a while, the haircut. And, you know, Rosemary's like, oh, a fresh start for spring. And, you know, Rosemary starts, you know, messing with her hair and trying to figure out what kind of cut she should get. And then Nathan interrupts and Rosemary's like, our hometown hero returns.
Oh my gosh. I mean, after Nathan's reaction to what Ned said, I was just like, oh my gosh, Rosemary.
And then he says it again. He's like, Nathan's back. I don't know about the hero part. And I'm just like, Nathan, you are a hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, sweet moment when Elizabeth says, it's really good to see you again. And Nathan says, it's really good to see you too.
Yes. You know in that moment that they've both been missing each other.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of awkwardness, but still cute.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yes.
And they talk about the article, and then Nathan runs into the flowers. Rosemary totally knows.
Oh yeah, are you kidding? She totally knows.
And like she looked between them and she's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what? One thing I will say is it's different to see Elizabeth a little bit flustered too.
Yes.
Because when she sees Nathan walking up, she kind of like turns around and is like, oh. And we haven't really seen that from Elizabeth for like forever. So to see her flustered was pretty cute too. Because usually he's the one who's a little bit flustered around her. Which he was in the scene. Yeah.
She was like,
exactly, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Another favorite moment, but also a little bittersweet, was Nathan and Allie's talk on the porch. And I thought that this contained a lot of foreshadowing too for later on in the season.
For sure. Yeah. I agree. I think that was my immediate thought watching it. I was like, you know, out of context, you know, you could take with what you will from it, but I definitely see the foreshadowing because I think it was less about Allie growing up, and that's what made Nathan sad. And I think it was more that it could possibly be that she was choosing to hang out with other people and, you know, kind of like they were drifting apart in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to come up later.
Yeah.
When a certain person shows up or when Allie's going to want to meet a certain person.
Yeah. Dylan.
Mainly her birth father. That's going to come up later. But I think that those feelings that Nathan was clearly feeling at the end of that scene of, possibly being lonely, I think that's just going to be amplified when Allie is going to want to meet her birth dad,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my theory on it anyway. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I have the same. Yeah, I have the same. I think it's going to come up.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said foreshadowing, that's like where my mind went. So I figured you were thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Allie mentions that she's going to miss Minnie's cooking. And before that, I just have to say, I love how Scout seems to be listening more to Nathan, because Nathan's like, sit.
Scout. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
he's still bad on the leash, but at least he'll sit.
Yeah, he was like tugging.
Yeah.
Like pulling Nathan. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. Yeah. But definitely a bittersweet scene for sure.
Nathan asks if she wants to do something like go fishing, but she made plans with Angela. And the I love yous, which that was precious. That was so sweet.
So sweet.
Yes.
Especially since we've never actually heard them say it.
And before we move on to the next scene, may I just say, Kevin looked mighty handsome.
Oh yeah.
In this episode.
He's never looked better. Like, yeah, I don't know what is happening, but he looked amazing. And they had great costumes for him too. Like, I think they fixed up his wardrobe along with Aaron's.
Yes.
And I could not be more grateful because he looked amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think I've seen a few comments saying like fine wine.
Well, I mean, I've always believed
Not
that.
Gonna lie.
Not
gonna lie.
Yeah, I've always believed that about Kevin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were commenting on his hair, and I'm not gonna lie.
I always preferred it longer. Like, not too long, but longer. So, yeah, I was very happy to see that, it was all grown out again.
I think it looks good how it looks now in season 11.
I agree. Yeah.
But Elizabeth's at home with Rosemary. They are discussing hairstyles. Rosemary suggests the Eton crop. And, Elizabeth is like, no, that's way too short. And Rosemary's like, if you want a new look, there's no point going halfway. Kind of agree with that.
I do agree. As someone who's a short hair girly, I am all for chopping all the hair off.
Yeah. I mean, personally for me, I like my hair the length it is. But short hair does look good on some people. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks great on Elizabeth.
Yes, it does. And we will talk about the haircut reveal scene in just a little bit. But I love when Rosemary asks, why the sudden change. Elizabeth, she says lately she's just been feeling there's a change in the air and inside her. Watching Lucas's recovery reminded me that what we make of our lives is up to us, moment by moment, and I'm really enjoying the feeling of being open to infinite possibilities. And I thought that was a great scene.
I agree.
Yeah. And then we get Elizabeth at the school. I kind of wish we had seen at least one more scene with Elizabeth and her students in this episode, but that's okay.
I agree. Yeah. I think if I were doing the episode, like writing it or editing it, I probably would have taken out maybe one of those haircut centric scenes.
Yeah.
And probably would have instead had another teaching scene, the school scene.
Maybe
that probably would have been my go-to.
Maybe the first one when they're first talking about it.
Yeah. Because I mean, I love this episode, and I love the whole storyline of Elizabeth getting her haircut. But I did feel like some of the lines in the Rosemary and Elizabeth scenes where they're talking about getting a haircut, some of the lines were a little bit cliche for me.
Yeah, I can see.
And they didn't really convey any new information. It's just kind of like, I'm open to change and new possibilities. And that's great. And I know that's the feeling they're trying to convey, but I
Yeah.
do feel like some of the scenes were a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that if I were doing it, I would have cut out the first scene or the first, few seconds of that spring cleaning scene when they were talking about her hair and left the one in that we just talked about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I did love the scene in the school when she's teaching her students a lesson on the planets and the solar system and, the alignment of Venus and Jupiter. Thought it was nice.
Yes.
And a nice callback to Haley's comment in season 1.
Exactly. And also, Wayne calls the heart with impeccable timing, as usual, with the
solar eclipse the day after.
The eclipse that just happened, yeah. Because now we have the solar eclipse, and Wayne calls the heart doing a celestial event during the same weekend. Yeah. We have the quarantine episode with Rosemary
COVID.
airing the same week that we all went into lockdown. We have this one's gonna be hilarious, but we have the weekend where Florence slapped Henry the same week that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars.
Was that the same weekend?
Yes, it was. It literally was. I
forgot about that.
It was. I literally, as I'm remembering that, I'm dying laughing. Like I said, the timing is impeccable. Sometimes uncanny. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's very funny.
Oh my goodness. Also, just briefly, gotta mention the scene with Robert and Elizabeth.
Oh my gosh. Robert, no. I would not trust Robert to cut my hair.
Apparently, he is the new Mike Hickam with all the jobs in town. He's the mailman.
Yep, exactly. And
now he's working at the salon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So funny. Yeah.
Oh
I appreciated that. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
Because now I'm pretty sure he's officially almost worked everywhere.
Yeah.
At some point or other.
Yes. I love how Elizabeth is like, no thanks, it's okay. Or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
She's like, no,
she runs off. She's like, oh no, it's okay. I did get a good laugh out of that. It was pretty funny.
The haircut scene. This has been talked about a lot because of the subtext. And before we get into the subtext, I love how Rosemary says, if there's one thing I know how to do, it is how to make a woman beautiful. More beautiful than she already is. Because, Elizabeth was asking, are you sure you want to do this? And, Rosemary, being the good friend that she is, it's like, I got your back.
I got you.
Yes. Yeah. And Rosemary mentions that she and Lee spoke to Lucas. Elizabeth says, I know I made the right decision. Of course, referring to the breakup. I'm so grateful that everyone who matters to me is safe. Rosemary asks if they're still talking about Lucas, and then here comes the subtext. When Rosemary says, ready to take the plunge, and Elizabeth says, Rosemary, Nathan just got home. I don't even know if he still has feelings for me anymore. And Rosemary's like, I was talking about your hair. That,
oh my gosh.
That spoke volumes.
It definitely did. I mean, she was clearly thinking about Nathan a lot. And in that moment.
Yeah.
I think, I definitely think that it's interesting that she doesn't think that he still has feelings for her. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he does. But But also, I think it also shows that you know, they both regarded their relationship prior to season 11 as a friendship, like a strong friendship. So, you know, she didn't see him as having romantic feelings for her during that time. And, you know, for her to be doubtful about, you know, whether he does have feelings for her is a testament to that. I think so.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And did I send you the post from someone on one of the Facebook groups? It was probably a Team Nathan one about the taking the plunge comment.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting because
Definitely
normally, when someone asks, "Are you ready to take the plunge?" that is referring to marriage. So I thought that was
definitely interesting for sure.
Interesting because then
we've got two references to marriage in the first episode with two different couples. So I think the race is on to figure out who's getting married.
It very well could be that both couples get married this season with that.
Could be. I mean, I'm not putting my money on two weddings just because I know Brian Bird was specific about it being one. But
I know it's a stretch,
could be wrong.
But
I mean, I could be wrong.
It's possible on this show.
Right.
So
that is true.
But very interesting.
For sure.
And the big scene, the hair reveal. Everyone's reactions, especially Nathan, you know, we saw this before the episode when he says, "Wow, you look great." Those looks across a crowded room.
Yes. There, I mean, I don't know how she has any doubts at this point. No.
No. And I don't know if you noticed this. You might have caught it, and you might have seen a couple reels about it. The second time before the radio broadcast, they totally look each other up and down.
Oh, I'm not even kidding. Are you kidding? Yeah. Absolutely.
Like the fire.
Yeah.
I can feel the fire coming on.
You can feel the sparks.
It's just, it is a simmer right now that's about to be a boiling over.
I definitely think we're gonna get even more of that next week, which we'll get into that eventually.
Yes.
But
in just a few minutes. But I can feel it coming. I can feel the boiling.
I think it's just gonna grow from here, and then we'll reach a point in the season where it's just like bubbling over, and of course that will lead to a big explosion.
Which we will talk about that, but I thought it was a sweet scene.
Right. Yes.
And Erin looks beautiful, of course. I love that.
And I'm so glad we're back to her natural hair.
Yes.
Like we haven't been her natural hair since season 1. I am so glad that we're ditching the wigs. And...
Please, the season 5 wig that shall never be named.
Oh my gosh. The season 5 wig, I'm pretty sure even Erin admitted that wig.
She did.
Yeah. Even Erin admitted that wig was absolute trash.
In Heart to Hearties, she did.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastic. See, we all knew it.
That season 5 wig was horrendous.
Oh my gosh. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's like one episode where it's particularly bad, and it's just, oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean,
so bad.
She looked beautiful in the wedding episode.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, she always has, but the wig was just meh.
The wig was looked like a wig.
It was hard to tell though in the wedding episode. Like it wasn't as noticeable.
Yeah, I think it was the little strands of hair in the front that made it just look weird.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, before we move on, I doubt that this was in response to Nathan and Elizabeth's looks, but Florence's expression, like the timing of her expression was on point.
Oh my gosh. I need to go back and watch that because I don't remember seeing
I
that.
think it was about what Rosemary said with Lucas's live broadcast, but just the timing, because like Nathan and Elizabeth were looking at each other at the same time Rosemary was saying what she was saying, and then Florence looks over at Elizabeth like what?
I'll have to go back and rewatch. That's pretty funny though.
Oh my goodness.
Florence,
But
we know, has kind of been a Nathan and Elizabeth shipper. We know that. So
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But moving on to another one of the best scenes in the episode, the stargazing scene, and them watching the planets was beautiful. Nathan saying hi to Goldie, I thought that was adorable.
Oh, so cute. Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, Nathan and Allie walk over, and Nathan says, Allie persuaded me to come, and Allie says, it wasn't like I had to twist your arm, Dad. Busted!
So busted. Like, immediately. You can see the look on his face. He's like, wow, I was just busted there.
And even Elizabeth's face.
Yeah, she was smirking. She thought it was funny.
Yes. And little Jack pulling on Allie's arm. That was so cute.
That was super cute.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure that wasn't planned. I'm sure that was like
improv. No, yeah. It was cute though. Yeah. And the classic trope. It's so beautiful. Yes, it is.
Yes.
The way he looks at her. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding? Yeah. Literally, it's just literally like you don't see a guy look at a girl like that and him totally not be totally in love with her. Like, he is so like, he's so not over her. He never, he's always just been in love with her.
No.
So yeah.
And Elizabeth knows it because she smiles when he's not looking.
Yeah, just the way she beams, you know that she knows. Like, she might have been having her doubts throughout the episode, but in that moment, you know that she knows.
And about Nathan's look at Elizabeth, I think I missed the tweet, so I didn't see it when he posted it. But I think even Ben tweeted something about, you know, ladies, find a man who looks at you like Nathan looks at Elizabeth.
He did, yeah.
I thought that was cute.
Yeah. That was cute.
But I think that wraps up episode 1. A very good episode and start to the season.
Yeah. I'd say it was great start to the season, set up some really good stories. And usually When Calls the Heart premieres are not, in my opinion, very good, especially compared to the rest of the season. I think that was very solid. And I was impressed by the camera work and the cinematography and the direction that they're taking a lot of these characters. So I'd say a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
for me.
That's what I gave it to. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, which is great for a season premiere.
Do we want to talk about what's to come this week? In episode 2?
Yes. So we've got
Mike
Nathan's
and May.
birthday and Mike and May.
Nathan's birthday. Yep, that's the big thing for this episode, and I'm so excited for that.
Yes. I'm excited because I think Mike and May are going to hit some kind of roadblock. I think she might be afraid to take things to the next step.
Yeah, because of Jeffrey.
Yeah. Or just in general. Maybe she just feels like she's not ready. But I'm interested to see how that plays out. I think might be able to give us a better understanding of where they are as a couple, and I think that's going to be a good storyline for them.
Yes.
I'm excited to see more of Faith and Lily in this episode, which we'll inevitably get more on. And like I said, excited for Nathan's birthday, which I think is going to be a fun thing. Based off of the preview, it's not going to play out exactly the way I thought it was going to play out.
Yeah.
But I think it could be funny. I think.
Elizabeth says, am I misinformed or is it someone's birthday this weekend? Nathan, says, oh, Allie's throwing a surprise party. And then we get the clip of Allie. I think she's outside the cafe, probably talking to Elizabeth, would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
When she's like, he's expecting a party. And then
look, miscommunication there.
Yep. And then it cuts to a clip of Nathan winking, and then cuts to Allie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
and I was just like confused.
like, what? And then Nathan, I'll even act surprised at the party. And Ned's like, what party? Florence, there's a party? And then
I think it's gonna be funny and comedic.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like out of character for Nathan. That would just be my worry. But I think it's gonna be funny and cute. And then I think ultimately the biggest thing about it that's gonna be relevant is that Elizabeth is gonna be the one who makes the party happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's gonna find that out. He's gonna realize that it's because she has feelings for him.
She is, she's the one pursuing him. And like her throwing this party is a big sign of that pursuing.
Exactly. Because if anyone has watched the sneak peek for the episode, it shows Elizabeth and little Jack preparing some things for Nathan's birthday.
Yeah, she's making a banner.
Apparently she made a banner. Little Jack made a card with the 4 of them on there. And
foreshadowing.
Oh yeah, are you kidding? Yes, so much foreshadowing. But you can tell that this isn't just about planning a party. She's putting her feelings into it.
Yes.
And I think that's going to come up when she and Nathan leave the saloon and have a little moment outside. And then we get the hair talk too.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think it's really sweet how in the scene with her and little Jack, you can tell that they're both already envisioning them as a family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is why I said foreshadowing.
Exactly.
Along with the card itself.
I think so too. And I think when Nathan sees it, he's gonna start envisioning it himself too. Yeah.
And I have seen, this is not my observation, like I didn't even catch it or think about it until someone else posted about it. But this card that little Jack made is Lindsay's way of redoing the card scene with Elizabeth and Allie, the one that Allie rips up.
Oh, I love that. I didn't even think of that, but you're totally right. Yeah. I love that. Because not only is it fixing that, but it's also all 4 of them, not just Nathan and Elizabeth. It's all 4 of them, which is I love that.
Yeah. It was really
interesting.
Sweet.
I didn't even think of that. You're right.
I didn't either until I saw it on, I think, Instagram or Twitter.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good observation.
Yeah. And before we get into that one sneak peek with Elizabeth and Allie, I noticed from the outfit Elizabeth is wearing in the last scene of the promo, when he's walking in town and Ned, Florence, Rosemary, and Minnie are with her. And, one of them's got the balloons. I think it's Florence. Elizabeth is wearing the pink shirt and pink skirt from the other clip with Nathan and Elizabeth in the street.
Oh.
When it looks like some flirting is going on, maybe?
Interesting. Okay. That's very
I'm excited to see that scene.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. And then Elizabeth and Allie, I thought that was a good sneak peek too. Elizabeth is clearly disappointed that it's just a fishing trip.
Yeah, she's like, no, don't you want to do a party? Let's plan a party.
Yeah. And I love
it's
Allie's,
also sweet because she knows that he's expecting a party and she wants to make that happen. It's, I'm sure Nathan would be completely satisfied with a fishing trip. But she knows that he was clearly very excited about the prospect of a surprise party.
Yeah.
So I think that, she wants to make that happen. And that is her way of showing him that she cares.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Great scene. And before we wrap this up, why don't we just briefly talk about the rest of that on location video in regards to Nathan and Elizabeth, because Nathan says, now this is for episode 3, outside the schoolhouse, how it was a night full of surprises, and Elizabeth was like, wasn't it though? Or is. That's what or is like
they both seem like they're in the afterglow of something. Could it be a kiss? We don't know.
Maybe. And Elizabeth was totally lip staring.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that adding more spices comment.
Yeah, right after that scene.
Like, what does that?
Yeah.
We need to know. We need to know now.
We need to know. We need to know how that goes down. And I'm very excited to find out.
What is your prediction of Night Full of Surprises? Like, what do you think that means?
I actually don't think it's gonna end the way people think it's going to.
No, I don't think there's going to be a kiss. No.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a kiss. I think it's possible, and maybe this is just me wanting this to happen. I think what might happen is she and Nathan might dance.
I think a dance is very possible.
But outside of the saloon.
Yeah, I think
like
that's
in private. Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. Which would be great. I think that would be amazing, because one of my favorite scenes in Heartland is a scene.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Where Ty and Amy are
dancing on the truck.
They're dancing on the truck because they were driving to prom and the truck broke down. And they said, "The heck with it, we'll have prom in the back of the truck."
Yes,
that to me is one of the most romantic scenes ever.
Yeah.
So if that's where we're going with this, I am all for it.
Yeah.
Yes,
me
please.
Too. Yeah, that's my prediction. A dance.
And I think what's going to happen is they have the dance. They are starting to like move towards a relationship, like towards being open to a relationship in episode 3. But I think in episode 3, Lucas is going to come back.
I've seen that.
That might start to cause some misunderstandings. Possibly Jeanette showing up as well might put something between them. And then around episode 5 is when they'll start to regroup again, I think. Yeah. Kind of how I see it playing out, but yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a kiss on the cheek too, but I definitely feel like there's going to be a dance.
But inevitably, there's going to be something. There's going to be some kind of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Where Nathan sees Elizabeth with Lucas and is like, oh no, is all this just like in my head type thing?
Yeah. But we know they'll
be fine. They'll be fine. Yeah. They'll be fine. Yeah. And maybe it'll lead to some honest conversations between them, which I think would be great. Yes.
The explosion is coming, and I think it's in episode 5.
We need that explosion.
I'm calling it right now. I think I called it on the live.
I am all for it. Personally, I don't think the explosion's happening until around episode 6, 7, or 8, but I do think that it'll happen.
Yeah. Well, I said episode 5 because it says in the synopsis they clear up a misunderstanding. Right. So,
yeah,
it's coming.
You never know. Maybe that's the way maybe the explosion is clearing up the misunderstanding.
Back at the cabin.
Yeah, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boom. Like like a particular scene with another particular favorite couple. The push, pull, back and forth. Not necessarily like all that fighting, but like Elizabeth says something, Nathan says something, the back and forth, and then boom, they kiss.
Yeah.
Postables, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah. See, I'm not even a postable, and I already know what you're talking about. Yes.
But anyway, this was so much fun, Theresa. I always have a great time.
Yeah, this was great.
Chatting
Thanks
with you.
for having me on, as always.
Of course, yes. And I can't wait for next week to talk more.
It's gonna be great. We get to find out what those surprises are.
Yes. All right, Hearties. Well, I think that wraps up our review of When Calls the Heart, Season 11, Episode 1, When Stars Align. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share your thoughts about the episode in the comments. If you want to stay up to date on all of our reviews for the season, you can subscribe to this channel and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. And go subscribe to Theresa's blog too, because it is great. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next week. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.